Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Today's episode is about something very special and near and dear to my heart. It is the capsule collection that I did with Brooklyn Tweed. This is the very first book that I have had the privilege of publishing, and I could not have done it without Jared and the entire Brooklyn Tweed team, without the inspiration that Jared as a person has always provided, and along with his yarn. The yarn itself has been probably the biggest inspiration in my design career so far. So anyway, without further ado, let's talk about, my inspiration and each design. And I'll flash some pictures of the book inside to give you a little preview of what to expect if you are going to order it online. So if you're interested at all, just keep on watching. So the book is published by Brooklyn Tweed. All of the designs inside are designed by me, and the book is 138 pages long. It is soft cover. And if you've had a chance to purchase or take a look at Olga's capsule collection, the very first capsule collection, you'll be familiar with the size and the sort of high quality paper that was used for the cover and the pages inside. It really is such a beautiful book, and I can't thank Jared and the team enough for such an incredible job for putting this all together. As a designer, it's always kind of a crapshoot when you submit a design, if not to a yarn company or to a magazine. It's at their discretion how it's going to be shot, what model they use, the location that they use, the styling, etc., etc. So you never really know what it's going to look like until you see the final product. And with Brooklyn Tweed and with Jared, it's always just exceeds my expectations, and this book is no different. So thank you so much to them. What did I say? It's 138 pages. The suggested retail price is $30. I believe each individual pattern will be either $7 or $8 on Ravelry. But I wanted to talk a little bit more about this particular collection. I had proposed doing a collection to Jared a long time ago. I want to say probably around 2012 was when we first started talking about it. I was still, I don't know, I guess sort of developing my own design aesthetic and my own sort of style when it comes to designing. And not to say that it's not always sort of evolving, but let me just say this. A lot of the designs that I had proposed at that point are not in this book. We completely revamped it, I think, once or twice. So that was definitely a sort of learning experience, and you sort of want to take the time, especially if you have the luxury of time. I was doing this for Brooklyn Tweed, so sort of like, we just kind of kept the discussion alive, but there are no hard deadlines. Jared was, is very generous and fluid with his time and with new ideas. It's not like one of the collections that have these like specific dates they're going to be released. We were like, let's just keep working on it. Let's just sort of keep playing around with the idea. And more time passed, those designs I didn't like. Those designs didn't really feel like me. Those designs maybe seemed a little outdated. So I quickly realized that like once you create sort of this idea and you want to get some designs out there, you have to do it sort of in a timely fashion. Otherwise, you just start overthinking things or whatever. So this has been a long time in the making, and there's been quite an evolution in all of the designs. During that time, Quarry was released, so I was able to use Shelter, Loft, and Quarry for the designs. I was not able to use Arbor, which is the latest release from Brooklyn Tweed, because that was too new. Yeah, so there are 8 designs in total. There are 7 garments, 6 for women, 1 for a man, and there is 1 accessory, which is a hat. So I'm just going to talk through each one. I hope that's not too boring. But the inspiration behind this entire collection was loungewear. And for me personally, when it comes to hand knits especially, not store-bought knits, not machine knits, but when it comes to hand knits, to me it is like the quintessential loungewear piece. It's something that you just want to like throw on when you want to relax at home. It's something you want to throw on if you just have a little chill and you want to warm up a little bit. It's something I like to throw on if I just want to feel a little bit better. You know, it feels like a hug. And I've always felt that way about hand knits. Maybe it's the fact that hand knits are generally knit at a bigger gauge than machine knits. And that in and of itself always makes me feel a little bit more protected and less vulnerable. But it's from that viewpoint that I came at this collection, that I really wanted to develop something that was loungy and comfortable and wearable, and something that you could throw on at home, but you know, you could walk to the mailbox and check your mail, you can walk your dog, you can run a quick errand. It's that sort of feel. Not only is that my sort of perspective when it comes to hand knits, but it is also what I think of when I think of Brooklyn Tweed yarns. Shelter and Love Shelter. Just the name right there, it's perfect. It describes the yarn perfectly. It describes the end product of whatever you knit with Shelter. It describes that perfectly. It really is, to me, it's like Shelter and Loft and Quarry. They all have the same sort of feel to me. So that's definitely what I wanted to sort of convey with all of these pieces. And of course, if you're familiar with my work at all, I love cables, and that is also another aspect to me of the quintessential piece of loungewear. It just, cables add like a texture, and they add a certain sort of thickness and coziness to a garment. So anyway, so without further ado, I'm going to flash some closer up pictures of the book for you, so I don't, you know, this is unhelpful. So I'm going to flash some actual pictures up for you. But the first piece is Ilya. It is a cardigan. And it has an open front. It has a generous sort of ribbed placket, so that you can, you know, either make it a stand-up shawl collar, or you can fold it down if you want something a little bit more tidy looking. Long sleeve, obviously. It has cables all over. It has the same cable motif on the fronts, the back, and the sleeves, and 2x2 ribbing at the placket, the cuffs, and the hem. It is knit in pieces. I'm a big fan of seamed pieces. I know that's probably not the popular vote there, but I like seamed pieces. I think that structure is needed for hand knits especially. Seaming basically reduces a lot of surprises that you may end up with at the end. Many times after wet blocking something that I've knit in the round, it looks like jellyfish. So personally, anyway, enough. I apologize. That is why I like seaming, and that's why I design seamed garments. So that is Ilya. It has a sort of a boxy cropped fit. It's supposed to be a piece that you just kind of throw on if you feel like you have a chill, if you want to sit down with a cup of tea and knit. It has that feel. I think most of the sweaters in the collection have that similar feel. So that's Ilya. That's the piece that's on the cover. It's also the very first design that pops up. The second is the Hague pullover, and this is knit in Quarry. And this has a sportier look. This is maybe something you want to throw on, you know, if you're going to be in and out, you're going to be running errands, maybe it's more of an active day at home, maybe you're going to be cooking and things like that. So it's a pullover. It has a wide, shallow neck. Maybe you could call it a boat neck. I don't know if I would go that far, but it has like garter ridges, and it has a cable motif up the center front and back. And because it's garter ridge, it has a lot of stretch to it. So I think it has a drop shoulder silhouette. So it has a very easy fit. Again, it's meant to be just sort of thrown on and easy, maybe over a t-shirt, over your favorite pair of jeans. So, and because it's knit in Quarry, it would be a pretty fast knit, and there's only cables up the front and the back. So that is Hague. Rad Beer is the one garment in here that is for men's, and this is sort of the men's version of Aspen, which is a sweater that is coming up. But this is a shawl-collared cardigan. I think we're all suckers for a shawl collared cardigan for men. They just look so, I don't know, they just look so handsome in them. They look so smart. You just want to give them a hug. Anyway, so Rad Beer is shawl collared cardigan. It is cabled all over, and this is knit in shelter. The same motifs you'll find sort of running through the whole piece, the fronts, the back, and the sleeves as well. They're laid out a little bit differently because of the different widths of those pieces. I hope you knit that for your spouse or your partner, or for yourself or your dad, someone really deserving, because it's definitely a labor of love. There are a lot of cables in there. The next cardigan could possibly be my favorite. It is the Palmer cardigan. It is a long stockinette open cardigan with pockets in the front, and it's fully fashioned, which means it has the shoulder in the front kind of rolls over to the back. A lot of store-bought sweaters are like that. And again, you know, I just wanted to make sort of an easy silhouette, something that you want to throw on. And because it's all stockinette and it just has 1x1 ribbing at the placket and the cuffs and the hem, it's knit in loft, so it's not a super fast knit, but it is sort of an easy, brainless kind of knit. So this is definitely one of those basics, I think, for wardrobe. You could wear this kind of anywhere and at any time. And because it's loft, I think the sort of lighter feel of it kind of transcends a lot of seasons versus it just being like sort of an intense, deep fall, winter sort of piece. So anyway, so that is the Palmer cardigan. So next is the Bingham Pullover, and that is a shawl collared pullover for women. It is cabled in the front and the back, and the shawl collar is knit separately and sewn on. And this is another, and it's raglan shoulders. So I love this piece. Again, I think this is a fun piece to sort of throw on if you're going to be running errands and going out. There's something about a cardigan that feels a little bit more loungy and a little bit more relaxing, maybe because it's just open front and it's a little bit more flowy. But a pullover to me is like serious weekend gear. Like, I've got stuff to do, I'm relaxing or whatever, but I'm leading an active lifestyle. So anyway, Bingham and Hague, I think, are perfect for those kinds of days. So the next design in the book is the Kalam Cardigan. It is knit in shelter, and it's cabled on the fronts and the back, and then the sleeves are stockinette. It is also seamed, like all of the garments in the book. It is knit in shelter. Did I say that already? It's knit in shelter. And I like this particular cardigan because it is sort of more traditional in style. It looks, I don't know, I think it looks like kind of like a nerdy grandpa cardigan, and sometimes I'm just in the mood for that. Sometimes I just feel like that is the appropriate gear to be putting on, especially if I'm going to be lounging at home or if I'm going to be running some errands. The next design is Clara Hat, which is the one accessory in the book. It's a hat. It is knit in shelter. It's knit in the round. I think, if maybe you're a little bit shy about cabling, that hat is always a great way to go. You're knitting in the round. It's not a huge commitment. And I think it's a lot of fun. And I particularly love this pattern because it's the first one that I created for the book. It's also the first sample that I had done. So I had this sample with me for a very long time before I had to send it in for photography. So anyway, so that's Clara Hat. And then the last, but definitely not least, design in the book is Aspen. And if I had to choose my favorite from this collection, this would be it. It is just a wealth it is a wealth of cabling. If you are a cable lover like myself, I think you'll really, really love this. It is the female counterpart to Rad Beer, which is the men's cardigan. So this is the female version of that. It is shawl collared, it's cardigan as well, but it's meant to be like a robe. So it is about mid-calf length. It has a waist tie, It is buttoned up the front. I think I said that already. It's buttoned up the front, and it's just cabled all over, just luscious cables all over, and I just love it. I love this particular design because it really, you know, sometimes you kind of hold back when you design. You're like, oh, let me not go overboard. You know, it's going to take up too much yarn. Who's going to buy that much yarn to knit it? Or no one's going to knit cables. I threw all that to the wind, and I said, what would I knit if I, you know, lived in a total bubble and money and time had absolutely no meaning? And this is what I came up with. So I hope you'll consider Aspen. I mean, the great thing about hand knitting, especially if you do it as a hobby, there's no deadlines. I mean, you can work on this for a couple of years, and in the end, you'll have something, hopefully, you'll have something that you love. It also has pockets. I forgot to mention that. It has pockets, which for a robe cardigan is a necessity. It is a necessity. So those are the patterns in my book. The book is basically split in half. The first half is pictures and blurbs of each design, and then the second half, well, more than a half, but starting on page 44 is all of the patterns. I do want to mention, like all Brooklyn Tweed patterns, all of the cabling is charted, but they're not written out. And I know this perturbs some people, but it is merely just to save on paper. Otherwise, this book would be probably 3 times as long and cost 4 times as much. With that said, I do know that the customer service team at Brooklyn Tweed is amazing. So if you want to give charts a shot, if it's something you've never used before, I would say go for it. You can always email customer service, and they will help you as best as they can. If you want to send me a message over Ravelry, I would be happy to help you out. If you have a question about charts, reading charts, anything like that. Yeah, that's it. So this is my first book. I hope you enjoy it. I hope it's not my last book. It was so much fun to design, but it is a long road. You know, when I first started designing and I saw my first pattern pop up on Ravelry, you know, and I got my first purchase, these are all milestones and really exciting moments in a hand knitwear designer's life. But to see a book, you know, come to life, and when Brooklyn Tweed sent me my first copy of this, I got emotional. And I don't really get emotional, so that says a lot. I will be making appearances, book signing appearances, at Pearl Soho Friday, January 20th from 4 until 7. And then I'll be at Brooklyn General on Sunday, January 22nd from 3 until close, which I believe is 5 o'clock. And in February, I will be at Fiberspace and Knit Pearl. So on February 11th, which is a Saturday, I will be at Fiberspace, which is in Alexandria, Virginia. I will be there from 12 until about 3. It kind of depends what time I have to leave for the airport, because I'm catching a plane back to Vegas right after that, right after the book signing. And then I will be at Knit Pearl on February 18th in Portland, Oregon. So come see me if you are in any of those cities. All of the stores will have copies of the book for you to purchase. But you know, if you've ordered it online or if you've, you know, bought it elsewhere or whatever. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is bring your copy. I will sign it for you anyway. Yeah, and I hope to see you all very, very, very soon. Thank you so much.